Tom Wills is credited as being some sort of genius because he invented positional play, and it's true, he did, when football was in its infancy in Melbourne, and he arranged players up the field. But was he just a genius who invented it out of nothing, or did he in fact have a template for that style of game? Because what he actually did was replicate Marngrook.
Marngrook is a game played by the Chaparong people in Western Victoria. It was played with a possum skin ball filled with pounded or crushed charcoal, and the fur was on the outside, and it's about the size of a rock melon, I guess you could say. And teams of up to 100 people would play, and games would sometimes go for days or even weeks on end. And there was no rules. It was a keep your own score type system.
They played kick to kick, and they had the games basically were training in the skills of Marngrook. Now, there is no record of Tom Wills playing any sort of football, the white historians would say, in Melbourne before he went to rugby school. When he went to rugby, he had to be taught the art of round arm bowling, but he did not have to be taught anything on how to play football, because he played it with such flair and in such a different way that was even remarked on the newspapers of the day, where young Tom Wills from Australia, in playing the game, moved like an eel and was able to escape tackles and escape with the ball.
Gentlemen, the sports old and new, for the esteemed sport of cricket, and for the nascent sport of Victorian football.
Yeah.
Tom Wills spent every day and was allowed to, by his family, you know, to go with other Aboriginal children to corroborees. He not only understood the language and songs and dances, but he understood the culture, and he was so involved with them.
He couldn't promote the fact that he may have been hanging out with Aboriginal peoples on the weekend or grew up with Aboriginal people, because it wasn't a done thing to do. It wasn't accepted by your toffee people in town as such.
Aboriginal people are not saying that Aussie rules football is Marngrook. What we're saying is that Tom Wills, through his affiliation with Indigenous people, took some of those traits of the Marngrook game and brought them into Aussie rules football as we know it.
The biggest difference between Aboriginal football and the game that we call football today is the idea of goals. That's a European idea, and all which that word implies. Not just goals for scoring, but goals in terms of what we achieve in the game. Aboriginal football was about joy, it was about fun, and it was about athletic exuberance.
At that time, it was a common held view that the Indigenous communities were dying out, that they were savage, that they were uncivilised. And these are the assumptions about the Indigenous communities here in Melbourne and right throughout Australia. So any suggestion that they may have influenced anything that was cultural or developing in a certain way in the colony would have been pretty unpopular. And for someone advocating that, it would have seemed to wider society deeply problematic.